Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim?
Cross your eyes and scream, man. Scream for your life.
Welcome, Scream Queens, Kings, and Things. Whether you're screaming at movies or the real-life stuff, I'm your host, Jenica Olin. This is my 58th episode, and my theme of the month is Justice in January, where Black war takes revenge and teaches us lessons that colonizers would like to forget. In today's movie, a family is being evicted, and they are the last ones in a building that is set to be torn down to build new condominiums with nice, clean people in there, or that's what they say. So the real horrors that this reflects is the role of redlining and gentrification. Beginning in the 1930s, the federal government, Homeowners Loan Corporation, created maps that categorized neighborhoods by mortgage security. We had systemic disinvestment. Neighborhoods with Black residents were colored red for hazardous, signaling to banks that these areas were unfit for investment. As a result, this created barriers to wealth. This denied Black families the low-cost mortgages used by white families to build generational wealth, forcing many into exploitative contract selling, where missing one payment could lead to immediate eviction. This left these populations vulnerable. These decades of forced neglect led to lower property values and deteriorating infrastructure, making these neighborhoods prime targets for gentrification. So the gentrification is really displacement. Gentrification occurs when capital returns to these historically disadvantaged areas, often driving up costs beyond the reach of long-term residents. It's been estimated that between 1980 and 2020, there has been mass displacement of an estimated 500,000 Black residents from gentrification in the United States. This has led to loss of cultural fabric and fewer options as time has gone on. Studies have shown that Black residents are displaced. They often move to a shrinking set of even more disadvantaged neighborhoods, where white movers generally transition to more advantaged areas. So those are the true horrors of what I'm covering today, or at least a part of the true horrors, because this is a very layered movie. Today I'll be covering the 1991 film, The People Under the Stairs, directed and written by Wes Craven, starring Brandon Quinton Adams, Everett McGill, and Wendy Robbie. Estimated budget is $6 million, and the estimated gross was $31 million worldwide. The tagline for this film is, "In every neighborhood, there is one house that adults whisper about and children cross the street to avoid." Some quick trivia about this film. Wes Craven was inspired to write this film after reading a real-life news story about burglars breaking into a house. When authorities arrived, the burglars had disappeared, but they discovered locked doors with noises coming from behind. Children had been locked up inside the rooms by their parents, never allowed to go outside. In the real 1978 case that inspired Wes Craven, the specific identities and long-term outcomes for the family remained relatively obscure. What we do know is that the two burglars broke into the home and were surprised to find 2 or 3 children locked in a room. The burglars actually fled the scene before police arrived, but their entry is what led authorities to search the home. The children were found in a state of extreme isolation. They had reportedly been kept indoors for their entire lives, forbidden by their parents from ever going outside or interacting with the world. Some reports from that time describe the children as becoming feral due to lack of human contact outside their parents. Once discovered, the children were removed from the home by the local law enforcement. While it is standard in such cases for children to be placed in protective custody and for parents to face criminal charges, the specific names and sentencing details are not widely publicized, though I don't know any of that information. Wes Craven chose Wendy Robbie and Everett McGill to play the part of Mommy and Daddy after seeing them play husband and wife on the TV series Twin Peaks. Shortly after his death, Wes Craven was developing a television show version of the film on the Sci-Fi Channel. Although Alice was 12 years old, actress A.J. Langer was almost 17 when she played the character in this movie. The original script had a mid-credited scene revealing Daddy was alive and out for revenge. Wes Craven decided he wouldn't even film it for 2 reasons. The Daddy character deserved to just die clearly, and he wasn't interested in making a sequel anyway. There has been talks of possible remakes of this film. Jordan Peele is the director that they've been in discussions with about remaking this film. I don't want to see this film remade, but if it was going to be anyone, I'm glad it would be him. Several film critics were amused that the mommy and daddy characters loosely resembled former U.S. President Ronald Reagan and his wife, Nancy. This theory got traction when Gene Siskel approvingly cited the theory and said he wished he'd thought of it himself. Wes Craven said in several interviews that the film's story reflected tragic conditions in the U.S. circa 1991. If you're new here, each episode will have an intro, brief synopsis of the movie, and an analysis of the film. Spoiler alert, I've made it my job to spoil the shit out of this movie.
In every neighborhood, there is one house that adults whisper about and children cross the street to avoid. Now, Wes Craven, creator of A Nightmare on Elm Street, takes you inside.
Something's in there.
We gotta get out of here, Leroy.
All sorts of rumors about what goes on in that house. The police never took it serious.
Fool is a resident of the Los Angeles ghetto. It is his 13th birthday, and he's having a tarot reading with Ruby. His mother's sick and crying. Leroy is outside his mother's bedroom telling Fool that his family are being evicted from their apartment, forced out midnight tomorrow by their landlords, the Robinsons. Fool's mother has cancer and can't afford treatment. Leroy convinces Fool to help him commit burglary to pay for surgery. He says the couple is known to have gold coins. The Robinsons, who are believed to be a married couple, call themselves Mommy and Daddy. They have a daughter named Alice, to whom they are extremely abusive. Fool knocks on their door, dressed as a Boy Scout. While holding a large brown bag, no answer. He goes to the side of the house and tosses rocks into the pond, drawing Alice to look out the window. Suddenly, Mommy appears and turns down Fool's cookies he's selling for cerebral palsy. As he leaves, he notes metal screens with padlocks on the windows. Leroy, Spencer, and Fool break into the Robinsons' house by using Spencer to pose as a municipal worker to check the inside meter. Mommy and Daddy leave the home shortly after, but Spencer does not return. Leroy and Fool break into the house to look for Spencer. Leroy heads upstairs to find Spencer. Fool follows a noise going along the floor from the basement. He unlocks the basement door and finds Spencer's fake meter man folder and his red lighter on the stairs. Fool reaches the TV and looks at the wall vent it was facing. He finds Spencer's dead body with a gold coin in hand and a large group of strange, pale children in a locked pen inside a dungeon-like basement. Fool tries to run up the stairs, but they change to a flat ramp halfway up. But he makes it the second time. The door is locked, but Alice opens it and runs away. The Robinsons return and find Leroy. He tells them about Spencer. They try to run to the back door, but the couple is there. The front door knob shocks them when they touch it. Leroy hits the window with his crowbar, but it doesn't break. The couple breaks the bottom of the door and lets the dog in. They run upstairs, but the locks on the windows won't open and the glass won't break. A flip is switched by Daddy and all the lights go out, and many doors automatically lock. Leroy is shot to death by Daddy. Fool runs into another section of the house where he meets Alice. She tells him that the people under the stairs were children that broke the see no, hear no, speak no evil rules of the Robinsons' house. The children have degenerated into cannibalism to survive, and Alice has avoided this fate by obeying the rules without question. A boy named Roach, whose tongue was removed as punishment for having called out for help to escape, also evades the Robinsons by hiding in the wall. Since Daddy saw Fool climbing into the vent, he thinks Fool is Roach. Daddy starts hunting him by shooting the walls with a shotgun, while in a full-body leather BDSM suit. Roach laughs crazily while in the walls. Mommy gives the dog Prince Spencer's bloody hand as she hears police approach. Fool tries to get the cops' attention, but can't be heard through the plastic window. Before Fool can be shot, Roach reaches through the vent, grabs Fool, and pulls him into the wall. Prince is sent in the wall to hunt them. As it nears, it bites the doll Alice gave Fool earlier. Roach activates a trap slide, sending him into the kitchen below. The couple sees and finds Alice's doll. Roach and Fool go to Alice's room. She made a doll of Leroy too. She makes one of all the people that come and are killed. Fool is discovered by Daddy and is thrown to the cannibalistic children to die. Mommy calls Alice a Jezebel. She is forced to clean all the blood throughout the house. She gets blood on her white dress and is thrown into a scalding bath. Roach helps Fool escape into the furnace, but is wounded from one of the shots earlier. As Daddy sends Prince down to get him, Roach and Fool hide in the furnace. As he dies, he gives Fool a small bag of gold coins and a written plea to save Alice. Fool reunites with Alice and punches Daddy in the groin and hits him with a lamp, so the two can escape into the passageways between the walls. The crawl space is booby-trapped with spikes. Prince gets into the walls to kill them. Fool tricks Daddy into stabbing Prince, and Fool moans to let Daddy think he killed him. Daddy opens the wall and sees he killed Prince by accident. Fool and Alice reach the attic, where they find an open window above a pond. Alice is too afraid to jump, and Fool is forced to escape without her, but he promises to return for her. Fool learns that he has enough gold to pay for both his rent. His grandfather Booker says he has enough coins to pay his rent until the year 2000, and for his mother's surgery. Booker says Mommy and Daddy are actually brother and sister coming from a long line of disturbed inbred family members. They started out as a family that ran a funeral home, selling cheap coffins for expensive prices before entering a real estate business, leading them to become greedier and more unhinged. Fool vows to right the wrong. He reports Robinsons to child welfare, and police investigate the house, finding nothing. The kids in the basement were drugged with horse tranquilizers. And believing Alice's room is from their departed child, the cops leave. Fool sneaks back in, grabs a fire poker, and sneaks upstairs. He thinks he is getting to the room where Mommy and Daddy are praying, but it was a trap. Daddy, back in his leather full body BDSM suit, jumps out. Daddy gets his shotgun, but Mommy and Daddy think Fool escaped. He's actually hiding in the first floor wall after releasing the basement door. Alice's hands are tied above her to a bolt on the chimney. Fool loosens them, and she makes it to the window to let him in. He tells her that she is not their daughter, as she was stolen from her birth parents, as were all the other children in the basement. They couldn't escape by falling in the pond this time. Daddy drained it and put broken glass and rocks in it after Fool escaped before. Alice shows Fool sticks of TNT rigged to parts of the house. Mommy won't let Daddy kill Alice. Mommy finds Alice, but she stomps her foot. She finds out that Alice knows the truth and believes that Fool has turned her against them. So she attempts to kill Alice. Alice hides above the stove and the vent hood. Fool goes to the basement. Daddy grabs the rifle, and Mommy has a gun at the top of the stairs when they hear the door knock. Ruby appears at the door, stating she represents the associate of people who have been unjustly evicted, exploited, and generally fucked over. She accused them of being slumlords for over 50 buildings that attempt to evict so they can flip properties to become office buildings. Mommy slams the door. Right as Daddy is about to shoot Fool, the cannibals all shine their flashlights at Daddy to temporarily blind him. Fool runs away while being shot at. Police then knock at the door, but it's really Booker telling her to listen. Ruby says that she is 10 times worse for stealing children from the community. As neighbors appear behind them, Mommy points the gun at Ruby as Alice breaks through the ceiling, smashing Mommy's head on the floor. Everyone is shocked by the girl. The cannibal children grab Fool and pull him in. Daddy follows until he hears Booker and Alice at the steps. They slam the door in his face and he falls back down. Fool explains he is trying to help them escape. A cannibal shows him a hidden room with loose and bags full of cash plus gold coins covering the entire floor. Ruby and Alice call down the stairs for Fool and don't notice Mommy escape and shut the door. Ruby steps out to see if anyone saw her get away, and the door is locked behind her. Alice tries to use the control panel, but there's a system override. Mommy talks over the intercom. Alice approaches her in the kitchen. She turns around with the knife and chases Alice until she falls on the stairs. She's almost stabbed, but the cannibals reach through the stairs. Another comes from a vent, some through the walls. The cannibals charge at Mommy, causing her to flee and run. The children seize her and throw her into the basement, where she lands dead at Daddy's feet. Daddy hears Fool at the vault and thinks he sees him counting the coins. Upon closer look, Fool stuck coins in the candles of the candelabra, which are falling at different speeds while they burn. Fool sets off explosives, demolishing the house and causing the money to blow up through the crematorium chimney and into the crowd of people outside. Daddy is killed in the explosion, and Alice and Fool reunite in the basement. Meanwhile, the people outside claim the money distributed by the blast, and the freed children venture into the night.
Fool? Fool, you okay?
Feel like $1 million.
So now it's time to talk horror, and my guest today is Randall.
Randall Rydell wrestled professionally, but you can call me Randy.
So he is a screenplay writer and works in the film industry. He is a Northern Californian native, currently in Southern California. So what have you been working on, and where can people find you?
So I'm currently right now in the process. I have 2 projects that are going to get released this year. That one I actually been working on for almost 3 years, and it's sad to say that, but that's how it happens when, funding goes away and things like that. It's a slasher movie that takes place in the 90s in a video store. We actually found a video store in Colorado, believe it or not, that's still functioning. And we were able to shoot in there, but some things happened in between production that we had to kind of fight to find more money, bring people back for reshoots, but now it's finally coming out. Thank God. I have another movie that I wrote called On Paper. It's a Black-led psychological horror movie. I'm about a screenwriter who the stuff he's writing starts drawing really close to real crimes that are happening in the city that he lives in. Is he doing them or something else happening type of thing? I'm going to be releasing a lot of comic books this year too. And just kind of going from there. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. And just being on here, this is my first podcast, so I'm really appreciative and grateful that you asked me to do this.
Of course. Thank you for being here. So today we are here to talk about Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs from 1991. And this is probably, we talked a little bit about this before, but it's my favorite Wes Craven movie. It definitely sticks with me the most out of all of them. And I know he's got some great hits and great slashers, but this movie just has such rich themes. It does not get the recognition that it deserves.
I agree. A lot of people, when I bring it up, they're like, which one was that? I was like, it's the one that had Nunez from The Sandlot in it, Brandon Adams. I don't think I ever saw that. I was like, what do you mean? You call yourself a horror buff and you never seen this? It's one of those things too. It's like, I think Wes Craven was like, I want to tell a more personal story. I don't want to tell your typical Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't want to tell your typical Deadly Friend or Last House on the Left. I want to do something based off something that's really happening in this world, because I believe that's where he got the idea. It was a newspaper article.
Yeah, I actually have a note on that. I found that he was inspired by a real life news story about burglars breaking into a house. And then when authorities arrived, the burglars had disappeared, but they discovered locked doors with noises coming from behind. Children had been locked up inside the rooms by their parents, never allowed to go outside. So I'm going to look more into that specific case and add it into my intro for this episode. But
That's
it's pretty
terrifying.
fucked up, right? Yeah, it is terrifying.
And to have this little black kid be your lead character throughout this whole movie was crazy ass. That's the other thing that grabbed me too, because I love Silver Bullet. So seeing him in this movie play another crazy guy, I was like, okay. And Wendy Roby as mother, sister, whatever you want to say, because of their weird ass
Yeah.
relationship. Then coming off Twin Peaks too to do this movie was also like, that was, my mother loved Twin Peaks growing up, so I actually was watching that around the same time. People Under the Stairs came out.
Mhm.
Seeing them together again, playing fucking psychos. It was fun. It was hilarious, but it was also like terrifying too. Really
Yeah, because they
terrifying.
were a married couple in Twin Peaks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that they came back for Twin Peaks to Return too. And I was like, okay, you still have it. You still have that creep factor.
Yeah,
So,
they do such a good job playing those characters, those really fucked up characters. And like part of my notes that I was reading through of the research I was doing, they said this was like the most fun they've ever had recording a movie.
oh, you can tell they're having fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how fun would it be to be like, okay, you're going to just like run around this house acting like a lunatic? Like, it would be fun to make this movie.
In a bondage suit.
Yeah, in a bondage suit. Oh, God. Nothing is accidental in this film at all. Even the opening up. So one of the strongest readings of this film is the social critique. The film pits the impoverished fool and his family against the wealthy landlords who exploit their tenants, hoard wealth, and mercilessly defend their property. This mirrors real-world class tensions and critiques of early 1990s capitalism policies that never ended. We've got poverty, illness, and systemic neglect. The film opens up in Fool's neighborhood and home life. His mother is seriously ill, but the family can't afford proper medical care. And I think the sister's also working, but they relied on the mother's income as well. And I guess they're the last ones in the apartment complex. These landlords had already kicked everyone else out. And it's in ill repair. Like, they're slumlords. The Robinsons, they're the landlords. They threaten eviction over unpaid rent, despite knowing their tenants' circumstances. And it's so bad that they say, like, I think it was like after 3 days of unpaid rent, it was like, then it went up to 3 times the rent. And it just shows, well, yeah, it is stupid, but it shows how it is so expensive to be poor. That I think that was very intentional, because that is what happens whenever you're poor. You're hit with all these fees and stuff, like obviously not as exaggerated as the film has it, but that is a reality for people in poverty.
That is very true. And they know they don't have the money. They know if they can't pay whatever it is they have to pay for rent to begin with, how the hell are they going to pay triple?
Yeah.
That just goes to show you, like, they don't care. They were sitting there eating their man meat or whatever, just like, oh, we'll get them out there, we'll tear it down, put a new thing up there, oh, we're good to go. Gentrification, boom. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's a hard watch when you know it's true.
Craven establishes that the true monster initially is economic violence, poverty enforced by landlords, institutions, horrors rooted in real world deprivation and exploitation of these vulnerable populations. Critics have talked about how they see the landlords as wealth hoarding caricatures of conservative elites, and the film as a satire of Reagan era capitalism. And we see, after like the wealth that these elites have, just kind of sat on, they're billionaires that are profiting off of the poverty of these people.
Exactly. And they're profiting off of that. And it's like the one scene where when man gets upset because some N-words broke in the liquor store and stole a bunch of stuff, you know what I mean? It's like, you're choosing to stay there. You know what I'm saying? And it just goes to show you, like, it's the money is the root of all evil, depending on how you use it. And they definitely were just wanting to do it and defeat their craziness And I always wondered what a prequel to this movie would be like about them, how disturbing it would be.
I will say with Fool, the beginning part is super symbolic. Whenever his sister is reading the tarot cards and she
Hmm.
calls him the fool, and she tells him that, the fool has to go through a journey and then he comes back. You're going to go through a journey, but then you're going to come back wise, like a wise man. I don't know exactly what she said, but it was basically like you're going to go through the fire, you're going to have to go through the sun, and you're going to come back better for it.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that scene. It literally, and I love when movies do that, and this one especially because she's literally saying this is what's going to happen in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the scene talking about why is he why is he standing so close to the edge? He's gonna fall off if he does that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to go to the edge in order to overcome his fear to get the hell out of there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And what's her name? Kelly Jo Minter, the girl that plays his sister, who's also in a Freddy movie, the fifth one. She played that role very well. I don't think she gets enough credit for the stuff she does and the symbolism of that scene. A lot of people, oh, they're playing with tarot cards. They're doing this. Who? I feel like that scene truly is. This is our start off point. Okay, here we go, and
Yeah.
then you go on that journey with him.
Mm-hmm. It sets everything up perfectly to execute it throughout the entire film. And then, yeah, she does do an excellent job with her role. Her role is so small, though. I mean, she doesn't get that much screen time. But what she does do, she's like a very powerful figure. She's like the strength within the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love her character. So the next thing we kind of get is we get the predatory capitalism and exploitation. So it's basically like our inciting incident. Basically, we get the theme of wealth built on cruelty. Fool joins Leroy and Spencer to break into the Robinsons' house to steal money. So the scene where Leroy gives Fool a proposition to help his family by stealing back the money that, they're being exploited for in the first place is a great example to me of how youth turns to crime for survival. And thankfully, this isn't portraying him as being the bad guy, because that is so commonly the narrative when we see this play out, right? But we see how innocent he is and how desperate someone has to be to fall into this trap.
Right. I'll speak from experience. I was a good kid, but I did shit I wasn't supposed to because we were lacking. And I did get in trouble a couple of times when I was in fool's age, to be completely honest. And it's desperation. That's a really realistic take on it. You know what I mean? Like the viewers may have grown up to become like a career criminal, but that's not what this movie's portraying. But that's how people would take it. You know what I mean? Because Ving Rhames' character clearly is a career criminal. He's very charismatic in that role, even though he's not the nicest person in that movie. He's trying to show him the ropes. But at the same time, those are not the ropes that Cole should be following. But at the same time, he's trying, like you said, he's trying to teach him how to survive. You want to help your family, you got to go do this.
Yeah.
So I've always respected that scene for that because he genuinely like, I love Ruby, I love your sister, but you got to do this, and I don't want you to slow me down if something happens. Like he's being real with him, and I know people like that, that are this is all they know. That may be all Leroy knows, but Fool wants more out of life, but he knows he's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah. Fool made me so sad in that moment because he's like reading this very big book for his age. He's a very intelligent young man. And he wants to be a doctor, and they're laughing at him, the fact that he wants to be a doctor. But that is the reality for especially like impoverished, like, raised in poverty like that. It's been walked by so few before them that the hope for that kind of, like a lot of the people around him have already been defeated by the system. They've already been labeled a degenerate or whatever else. And sad to see little Fool like getting his little hopes crushed. And I hope he did end up being a doctor, because he definitely could be a doctor.
I agree. I was gonna mention that too. I was like, he had that perseverance and he was smart because he would never have survived that house if he wasn't smart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing too. Like I've been pursuing screenwriting and filmmaking for God knows how long. You ain't never gonna make it. Oh, you're horrible behind the camera. Your scripts suck. I've heard it all. And one thing I never did was stop because it's like there's no plan B for me. This is it. Like I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And I feel like with Full, his story, he's gonna make it out. Like he says throughout the whole movie, I'm gonna make it out of here. Like he knew, he was determined, and that's what I love about this movie.
Yeah, it's hope. Like it's a fool's hope, but it's still hope. And what I have in here is that when people say there are no good billionaires, this is what they're referring to as well. There's no reason to have that kind of money. None. There are no ethical billionaires
Agreed.
whatsoever.
Prime example of what you're talking about, especially with man and woman in this movie, is the scene towards the end when the police are coming and they're searching the house. And he has his hat on, and she's giving him cookies and coffee, and then just kind of just milking them and making them feel all gooey inside. Like, oh, these are great people. That's damn near almost every billionaire we can think of. You know what I'm saying? Just they have this look when you see them. As soon as they close the door, they're themselves all over again.
Yeah.
It's that weird. Was it 180 or 360? Just how they turn it on and off. That scene, for whatever reason, is hilarious to me because it's like you guys have no idea what the hell's actually going on at all.
Yeah. It's the facade of every billionaire that we see. There are so many things that you could do right now with that money to help out society and make better change. And they refuse. They refuse because it would cost, like, to actually pay your employees from bottom to top, like a livable wage, would cost them money that they are just sitting on that pile of gold. And it's absurd. Fool's motivation is survival, not greed. And he needs the money for rent and medicine. He wants to take care of his mother. But the Robisons, how do you say their name? It's not Robinsons, Robisons.
What's crazy? Do they even say their name in the movie?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
I don't think
enough.
they do. I don't think they do. I think it's just literally in the script and when you read stuff about the movie.
Yeah. It's like Robesons. So Robisons.
We'll go with that.
I'm going to stop saying I'm just going to call them the family. They're rumored to keep large sums of cash in their house, and their wealth contrasts sharply with the surrounding impoverished community. The break-in reframes theft as resistance. So anyone going in and trying to take back what this family has, I love that Craven positions the audience to sympathize with the people who are taking from them instead of a traditional moral binaries of criminal versus homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's super unique to this movie, especially for the time too.
Yes. That's Craven for you though. Like I always sit down, like rest in peace for Wes Craven. He died in 2015.
Yeah.
If he had an idea he was going to put his mind to, even if he gave his movies like My Soul to Take, which is not one of his best movies, but the idea is unique. Mm-hmm. I think with this movie, he, especially with what you just spoke on, it just sets this tone. It sets this kind of, if you were in this position, what would you do? You know what I mean? Because I feel like if, say, the kid's just like, oh, let me break up this house as a dare, this would be a completely different movie. You know what I mean? If it would have been a white child stuck in there, do you think they would have just let him go? Or do you think they would have kept him in the basement? You know what I mean? Full fought back. That's why he went through what he went through. Mm-hmm. So it's not trying to make it about race, but I just wonder if it's because this little black kid got the best of them. That's why.
I mean, it's 100% about race. You could make it about race.
It truly is, though. And I think that's the other thing about the movie that a lot of people are afraid to talk about race. Like, and I sit here and I talk to people, even at my job, and I'm just like, you don't see how they're trying to divide us right now? It's like, I'm married to a white woman, okay? and we get stares all the time. We went to Italy a couple months ago, and you couldn't believe one restaurant would even take us. Sorry, we're full, even though there were tables open. And I'm like, for real? Okay, that's cool. When we moved to a Walmart, and this is 10 years ago, this lady literally stopped. This old lady stopped, looked at us, shook her head in disgust, and walked off. And I turned to her. I said, "Do you have a problem?" And my wife's like, "Babe, just calm down." This guy, because my wife's usually the one that like lashes out, but I couldn't hold back then. But if you have a problem with that, that's your problem. Race. If I cut my hand, we're gonna bleed red. Am I right?
Yeah.
So why does it matter what color our skin is? Why does that fucking matter? The race thing in People on the Stairs is really like, and this little black kid's gonna outsmart you guys, and you guys are not gonna have anything to say about it at all. And then your white daughter, I feel like there was some love tension between Fool and Alice. I really do think there was a little bit going on there.
Oh yeah, I mean, he wanted to save her, right? And she was just like this naive, like, I have stuff about her in here. There's a lot there. She's not even their kid. She was kidnapped and abused. And so there's a lot that goes into that, and just how, it's just like super fucked up. But
their whole arc with her is really fucked up. Really fucked up.
It is.
And I feel like Man was doing some not okay things with her too. And they don't speak on that.
100%. But I think, that's why, like, women and minorities in general we are the ones who are oppressed. And then you get these characters like the mommy and daddy, and mommy is a really great example of a woman who, not all women are great women. Like, some of y'all could just fuck off, and I don't give a shit just because you're a woman,
She played the hell out of that role, though.
Yeah. But we tend to like want to make women the victims as well. And we're not always the victims. Sometimes we're the perpetrators of these evil doings just as much. Like, mommy and daddy are both, like, mommy's letting it happen.
Mommy says, "Don't bruise your face. Don't bruise your face this time." And I'm like, oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
All right. And then when she said, "Don't bruise your face this time," I was like, wait, what? Okay. You're really making me like look at this movie deeper now. Like, I've always thought about it. I'm sitting here like, wow, this movie's fucked up.
It is really fucked up. So the house becomes the architecture as oppression, basically.
Right.
This house is a symbol of power and control. We get Leroy and Fool getting to the house. And the house is like a fortress. There's barred windows, alarms, deadbolts, and secret passageways. And I grew up I would go into neighborhoods where all the windows were barred. You knew when you got to the neighborhood where all the windows were barred, you were in the ghetto.
Yeah. Yeah. That windows boarded up, even though there was cars in the driveway, we had a lot of that. And there was always like it says, like, it's funny, I have the VHS copy of People Under the Stairs right here.
Yeah.
When it says, in every neighborhood, there is one house that the adults whisper about and children across the street to avoid. Mm-hmm. And even looking at the house on the cover, it has that, what the fuck's going on in that house type of look to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the house, it's its own character in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I always, as much as I wouldn't want to get trapped in that house, I love movies where the houses have like secret doorways and tunnels. And for whatever reason, that house just kept going and going with tunnels and secret passageways and things like that. That's why another reason I love that movie, because there's an escapism and there's an adventure feel to it as well, without, even though it's like a horror social commentary movie. And it just, like, how are they going to get out of this house? What are they going to do? Clearly, they have the money because they keep shooting their house up so they can get it fixed because they have billions of dollars in their basement anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shooting up the house is insane. Like, cops get called there so often. The cops got called, I don't even know how many times. Probably like 4 or 5 times. I don't know. I'm probably exaggerating it, but it was a bunch.
A few times.
It was a few times.
A few times. Every time they just take it away. Like, I love the one scene where the cops at the beginning, hope you catch him. Catch him in the hell. And they made that movie also, I want to point out, makes because they're obviously extreme Christian extremists, like to the full. People like me who are open about God look bad because it's like you're using your faith to punish people of color, to hold children hostage, to mutilate them because you feel like you can because I'm doing it in God's name. No, don't fucking do that shit. You know what I mean? Like that's just shit that drives me fucking nuts. Is that shit right there? But
Yeah.
the thing about the house again too is it's one of those things like when I was telling him you have sometimes in is out to define the truth. And that was I think the whole thing in this movie, he had to dig deeper in the house to find out what was really going on. And that's really deep if you think about it. Instead of like trying to go out the door or the front window, you got to go in. That's so good.
Yeah. There's always that house in reality in these neighborhoods where it's like the one house that's nicer than the others.
Yep.
You know, you will have like very few scattered white families, but they will be there. And, you know, sometimes they're cool and everything, but then sometimes they're not. And sometimes they're just really racist and they are so upset at the circumstances that have led them to be in an area that they don't think that they should have to be in. Like they're just racist people. There's a documentary that I watched recently. It was a neighborhood. The kids kept going into her yard, or it wasn't even her yard. It was like a lot that the kids just like to play in and they'd run and play in. This woman stole the kid's iPad or something. And then the mom went over, pounded on the door, and this old white lady shot the mom through the door. And it was like one of those most fucked up cases. And she was so racist. She attacked the community all the time. And it really reminds me of this scenario.
Something like that's probably happening right now because I think a story that happened near the South somewhere. This kid was selling something for basketball and this dude shot him for being on his property without coming unannounced or something like that when he was going door to door in his basketball uniform or something like that. And I just sat there. It's like, what the, for real? The kid lived, but now he's got to like live with the fact that just because I was knocking on the wrong door.
And had it been a white kid, that would not have happened.
Of course not. People like to act like, hey, you guys are exaggerating. That's not true. So no. You don't want to believe it. That's what it is.
Yeah. So it's a documentary on Netflix. It's called The Perfect Neighbor. And it's about the killing of a Jeep.
At the end okay. Oh, I've seen the trailer for that.
Oh, and it was in Florida. Of course it was in fucking Florida because I live in Florida. So I know it was here. Of course. Yeah. I remember when this case happened. It's so sad. But her neighbor, Susan Lawrence or whatever, I'm saying that wrong. But and it happened in 2023. They had signs of like justice for AJ. This Black mom was shot through the door and all she was doing was trying to stand up for her kids. Anything anyone would do for their kids. And this like fucking crazy woman who like the documentary, if you watch it, it like shows how many times she called the police on the kids, how she was yelling slurs at the children.
Just outside playing, having a good time.
It was like, it's a really important one. Like if you go watch it, it's really good.
I'm gonna watch it today.
All right. So back to the movie. The house itself is like a trap. There's surveillance and traps that turn the house into a weapon. The mansion represents hoarded wealth and defensive capitalism designed not to live in, but to protect the property at all costs, even at the cost of human life. And the people in the basement are seen as less than human because they don't see the light of day. They're treated so inhumanely. They are more animalistic than anything else whenever we see them.
They don't see sunlight. They don't have fresh air. I thought when I first saw this, I literally thought they were monsters under the stairs. But then you find out that, shit, these are just the people, all the kids that kidnapped. I was like, damn, like it makes you wonder, like it's just like that one, what's that one movie, The Girl Next Door, when they were abusing that girl and the mom, like,
and that was a true story.
That was a true story, exactly. Who's to say that this isn't happening somewhere else? There was a story that happened 10 years ago this guy had his kids in a basement it didn't let them out until one of them magically got out, and they were in there for 2 years. She ran straight to a neighbor's house, called the police, and the dad got arrested, and the siblings were released. But it's like they were down there for 2 years.
Yeah.
Who's to say someone hasn't been trapped longer than that?
The scariest part is the true horrors that inspire the horrors on screen, because this all comes from somewhere.
Exactly.
There's an event or events, or like it could be a war or anything that is happening in society that is triggering this to be created. We rarely come up with something out of nothing. So we kind of move along in the movie. Oh, did have something I was going to say about the people under the stairs.
Yes.
It is very symbolic whenever we see the people of how people are actually treated. They don't even care enough to put them out of their misery. They just leave them there to rot. It's also a really great example of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs when it comes to people and what we're able to do when you're so deprived of everything, like what that does to a person, how it just takes away any potential you ever had, any opportunity you ever had. Like for you to persevere in those circumstances, that takes an extremely special person to be able to do. And it's so few are able to do that. But this is like showing that just extreme exploitation.
I agree, because it's like they didn't give them food. They gave them that we left over to eat, you know? God knows how they went to the bathroom down there. I'm sure it smelled like shit down there. And just the fact that these are human beings. Oh, we were going to keep you, but you decided to say something, so we're going to cut your tongue out. You decided to see something you weren't supposed to, we're going to cut your eyes out. We're going to cut your ears off. But here's the thing. But you don't just put them out. You keep them like they're souvenirs or trophies or some shit. That's the most disturbing part about that movie too, besides the shit they're doing. It's like, you didn't even want to like kill them. You just wanted to keep them and just leave them there. Like, why?
They wanted to actively oppress them.
I'm sure man was down there when he was cutting up his body, just fucking with them and throwing shit at them, and almost like how, and it's totally off topic movie, how Jake and Francis fuck with Sloth and Goonies. They're always like throwing shit at him or saying shit to him. That's the shit that they're doing to the people under the stairs.
Yeah.
And they never say not Roach, but the leader of the people under the stairs. Such a gangster character, such a dope character towards the end of that movie. Like, I always love that scene when Fool's all like, we need you guys to get to the air, get to the women, and get up out of there and go live your life. Like, Fool put his life on the line for them, for Alice. And that showed the type of person he was.
Yeah. I think part of that too is, the power dynamic and feeling like for that family, they wanted to feel powerful. And you can't feel powerful without literally hoarding everything you have over people that you put underneath you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like they're beneath you, like they're below you. Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very good. Very good. I was like, oh shit. Okay. That's true though. It's fucking true.
It's sad. It's fucked up. So we first encounter mommy and daddy, and we've got that false morality and hypocrisy, which you talked about how they use religion to justify the things that they're doing. Mm-hmm. And so they're a corrupt authority masquerading as righteousness. Mm-hmm. And mommy and daddy confront the intruders. And daddy lectures Fool on right versus wrong while preparing to murder him. Like, okay, who are you? You're about to murder this child. You're trying to murder this child and you're lecturing him on right versus wrong. And then mommy obsessively cleans while committing extreme violence. Like she's constantly trying to clean up after them. Right? It's symbolic too of constantly cleaning up the mess and trying to make yourself look nice and polished.
Like when she throws Alice in the hot ass bathtub because she's covered in blood. And that one line, it's not funny, but every time I hear it, I'm just like, wow. Oh, it's not hot. The fires of hell are hotter. And I was like, Jesus Christ, lady, come on.
It is funny though. It is. I mean, this is a comedy. Like they interject a lot of comedy in the things that they say, the way that they say it, the way that they move about. is like, it's very dark, but it's a dark comedy.
It's a super dark comedy. Like some things, like I shouldn't be laughing at that. Like when they kill Prince, that shit's not funny. That's hilarious.
It's the absurdity of it, right?
Yes, and man's reaction every
Mhm.
time. Oh shit! I didn't mean to, mommy. And I was like, oh
Mhm.
my god, you guys are fucking weird.
Yes. It's, it's really poking fun of them in a great
Yes,
way. Like Wes Craven does a great job at showing how evil this type of person is, but then also poking fun at them and saying, like, look
yes.
at what a bitch they are. Like, look at, like, they're just little bitches.
This movie really, like, there's a mirror on society with this movie. Even though, like we said, it's 35 years old, it's literally like mommy and daddy in that movie literally are what's happening in society right now. If that makes sense
Yeah. Yeah.
for man and woman.
Craven critiques authoritarian morality, those who define ethics while committing atrocities. Like this act, respectively, hides the brutality of their acts.
Hmm.
And then the film subverts the idea of the nuclear family. The Robinsons aren't a loving family. They're abusive, incestuous, and grotesquely wealthy, turning the home into a site of horror rather than sanctuary, all with their fake daughter, Alice, and they are abusing her and keeping her psychologically captive. Like even if she could find a way out, she is so abused. And critics point to the film's inversion of the family norms, turning the household into a symbol of dysfunction and terror.
I've always said, like, because Alice, for the most part, like, even though she follows their rules, she still kind of like leans away from it because why else should she be, feeding Roach while he's in the walls? You know what I mean? Or
Mm-hmm.
helping Fool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's a part of her that does not like what's happening, but she just deals with it anyway. It's like the question she asked at the beginning, Daddy, what do you guys do when you kick the people out of their homes? And they're like, nobody asked you that question, type of thing. Like, she is genuinely concerned. I feel like that's how you know she's not their child. But the fact that Alice genuinely cares about the people under the stairs because those are like her brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the one she's closest with, but also she finds this bond with Fool that so many people I've read people say super interracial friendship. I was like, who gives a shit? Like, really? They're there to save each other. They're to help each other. Like, I feel like they will always. I know have a bond because of what happened in that movie.
Yeah.
Because she overcame her bullshit
Mm-hmm.
because Fool just pretty much was like, you got to know the truth type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Alice was blinded for the longest time. She wanted to please them. There was a scene when she smiles at the mom because the mom said "good girl" or something like that, and she genuinely looked pleased. I made this dress for you. Hope this fits. And oh yay, I'm not gonna get hit today. That was the look on her face, not like I love you. Oh, I'm not gonna get hit today because I didn't screw up today. But as soon as where's your fork,
Mm-hmm.
that changed everything. And
Yeah.
that's when Dad came in and beat the shit out of her, whatever the fuck happened. I guarantee she was tired of it. She was tired of it, but she had to figure out something to disrupt her existence in order for her to snap out of it, and that was Fool.
She was trapped and abused,
Hmm.
and while that was we saw all the doors, the locks, all the different traps, like that was a prison for her.
Oh
And
yeah,
she definitely knew what was happening to her was wrong, but she didn't know how to get out. She didn't know
at
anything
all.
else. Whenever you're trapped in that kind of abuse, it's hard to see a different life, especially when she was so, like, she wasn't allowed to leave. She didn't go to school. Like, the system failed her just as much as it failed Fool and the people in the basement.
Yeah, it's like, did the parents stop looking for her at a certain time, or like, or what?
They probably trapped the parents in the basement, probably.
You
Like,
know what? Probably. Ooh,
yeah.
ooh. Okay,
And then
okay.
took the kid, and, you know, they basically, like, not just brainwashed her because she knew what was happening was wrong, but she also she had survival instincts. You know, she knew she had to smile at certain points. She had to be quiet other times, or she knew what would come if she didn't. So her
That's what trying to
reaction
hide.
was, yeah, everything she did was out of survival.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Everything she did was out of survival. And then she wanted to help those who were being harmed when she could. But she knew she couldn't say anything. She wasn't going to tell them where Roach was. She wasn't going to, she reveled in the fact that they couldn't find Roach.
Yeah.
Like,
yes,
she was so happy that she's like, Roach is going to do this and Roach is going to do that. Like, that was her friend. She wasn't trying to get Roach found.
Like, I love when she says, "What does that sound?" Oh, that's just Roach. Roach, yeah, he escaped from the basement. Now he's in the walls, and now Daddy can't find him.
Yeah, no,
like,
she's happy. She's like, it's very funny. So we're now about to the midpoint of the movie. And actually, well, you kind of talked about this already, the see no evil rule that they have in here. Craven uses a literal version of the Proverbs as a central motif, with Roach's tongue having been cut out because he spoke when he wasn't supposed to speak. Alex explains the rules. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Children who break rules are mutilated or imprisoned. And that's why she is quiet. She knows how to play the rules so that she can survive. This internalizes how oppressive systems maintain control by silencing victims, taking away knowledge and speech. And we're literally seeing that happen today. I don't know if you saw the news, but they just made NASA close down their largest library, and they're literally going to just throw away the books.
Oh, I wonder why.
I wonder if it has to do anything with this.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree. Because, we can't get the real shit out. We gotta create the fake news. So we're focused on that. Now what's really going on? I'm sure somebody will get murdered tomorrow that takes their minds off of it too, and we're like, oh no, because they don't want us to know shit. That's the thing. They think we're stupid. They think we don't know what's going on, and when you speak on it, the people that are blinded by what's going on, they're just like, our government wouldn't lie to us. Okay.
Yeah.
That's literally how I look at it. I'm like, okay.
So the captives have been punished for either looking, hearing, or speaking out of line. A metaphor for how oppressive systems silence victims and dissenters. And we're seeing that today as well, with like Trump wants to classify anyone who opposes him as a domestic terrorist, basically. Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah, it's really, really concerning, like terrifying. Alice survives by never questioning or resisting, showing trauma-based obedience and how strong that can be. And really, they're trying to beat us into submission right now, just the way that they beat Alice into submission.
Again, and Jordan Watt as a social commentary for society as we speak right now. And I guess there's rumor he's going to remake this movie too.
There was something about it going to be remade, and I have to look back in my notes. I would lose my space though. But is it, I think Jordan Peele would do a great job with it. I wouldn't but I honestly don't want to see the movie remade, but
I don't either. Everything.
But if it had to be remade, then Jordan Peele is the best choice.
I would rather him either produce it and write and have somebody else direct it than him direct it, just like how he did with the Candyman sequel back in 2021. I like the fact that he didn't direct it, but he did write and produce it. But I don't know what they're going to do with it. But I feel like if you do this movie now, it would turn some heads. Like imagine it being like some kidnap, like a Trayvon Martin type character and hide him in the house. Like you could do some deep stuff with People Under the Stairs nowadays.
You could really connect it, which we're already doing, but other people aren't going to when they watch it. They're not going to make those connections.
But
you could make it explicit.
Super explicit to the point that if people walk out of the theater out of anger because of what's happening, then it's like, oh, does it hit a nerve?
We've got a fool who he enters the basement, and we've got his loss of innocence. And this theme is like the loss of innocence under abuse. The captivity and dehumanization of these people. Fool enters the basement and encounters the people under the stairs. The captives are former children who failed to conform. Years of imprisonment have rendered them feral and cannibalistic. Like I kind of mentioned before, you revert to those basic human instincts. You are not able to go beyond the lizard brain, essentially,
Right.
when you're put in those kind of circumstances. And they attack Fool not out of evil, but trauma and survival instinct. And the horror shifts from jump scares to tragedy. These monsters are products of abuse, showing how systems of punishment destroy humanity instead of trying to help it or fix it. Roach survives by going into the walls, symbolizing resilience, but also the psychological cost of survival.
So yeah, that's the reveal of what they really are. You're just like, oh shit, okay. Like I assumed when I first saw that movie that they were gonna be like monsters or something under the basement, under the stairs or whatever. But then you found that it's just like
People.
these people who refuse to abide by what mom is saying, and they had to suffer the consequences by being trapped down there. We spoke about before about how this is probably happening in America right now in some city in the Midwest we know nothing about because these kids are in somebody's basement. But the fact that, like you said, they were down there, they were going to attack him not because they were evil, because are you food? Are we supposed to eat you? What's going on? They don't know. Roach was the only one that we know of that got out. I feel like Roach the whole time was trying to find a way out himself, but shit happens. Daddy looked like he hunted him probably once a day, shooting up the walls to find them. But the people under the stairs, especially the main one, the one with the long hair, I always dug his character. I think they always were trying to find a way to get out, but they just didn't know how to go about it. It took the fool to just dismantle everything that was in that house, seemed to kind of just reverse itself so that they could actually get the last laugh. That's the cool part. It's almost like it was meant for Fool to get trapped in that house so that mom and dad or man and woman dismantled for real this time though. And so that these kind of not Ralph in the Sunset, but just like live their lives again because they deserved it. You're a child. You don't know any different. That's the thing too. They want to fucking hurt kids because they feel like they don't know any better. Same with this child trafficking shit. Me having $2 in the sun, and some shit like that ever happened to one of my kids, I'm going to jail for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah.
If
100%.
anything happens, God forgive me, I'm going to jail. And you had me thinking too when we spoke earlier, like, where the fuck were Alice's parents? But you did mention that they could have gotten murdered in the basement. Like all these other kids' parents, they weren't looking for them either. You know what I mean? There's at least 20 kids down there.
I mean, it's kind of like we have literally went and separated families, children from families within custody. And like there are kids that are just disappeared. Like there are hundreds of thousands of kids that are just disappeared right now that we have no idea where they are.
I always knew certain things, but just speaking on it with you, I was like, this hits almost checks off every box of fuck in society right now.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There is.
So we get to solidarity and the awakening. Fool helps Alice and Roach. So the theme here is resistance through empathy and knowledge. Fool chooses to help instead of escape alone. Fool shares food with Roach. He teaches Alice that what she thinks are mommy and daddy are not her real parents. He encourages them to fight back and escape. Fool becomes a catalyst for liberation. Unlike mommy and daddy, the Robinsons, he uses knowledge to empower, not to control. He's super wise for a little boy. And when he's given the chance to walk away, he decides to go back because he tells his sister, he says, because she's like, but you can't go back there. He does escape and he goes back. And she's like, you can't go back there. You don't know what's going to happen to you. And he says, well, if I don't do it, who will?
Yep. I made a promise to Alice and I'm going to keep it. That was one of those things where he became You know how they break down like kid characters in horror movies, like
Hmm.
performances? I would say him and Alex Vincent in Child's Play 2 are like, for kid heroes, are like top of my list
Yeah.
for just great performances, just good characters. Like Full is a like a full fledged like that's a junior hero right there. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and me being a black kid myself, when I watched that movie, I wanted to be him. You know, I would see, I would see Child's Play, or I would see Phantasm, or I would see something else, and not knocking the white people, because I'm not knocking them. It's like cool, but it was nice to see somebody that looked like me
Yeah, no,
carry a
representation
movie
matters. It
and
matters.
being top billed in a Wes Craven movie for Universal Pictures in 1991. You're kind of a no name at the time too. That's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
I think Brandon Adams had done Moonwalker, the Michael Jackson movie. And then after People on Stairs, he got the first two Mighty Duck movies and Sandlot. And then he kind of does his own thing now. But it was a big deal for me that when I saw that, because I was like, wow, it made me not afraid to watch it, if that makes sense. Because I was like, clearly they're not going to kill him, but I didn't
Yeah.
know. So I wanted to see if he lived or not. So
Yeah. He was a hero, 100%. You could feel like that moment of like him making the choice. He wasn't going to be a bystander. He wasn't going to
no,
let this continue. He was going to fight against the system that was already put in place. He wasn't going to just let it be.
exactly.
And we need those fighters. We need people that are going to push back against the system in place. And that's exactly what he was.
And I think he went back, not even like, I don't even think he really even cared about the money, because I know he got the gold from Roach that he gave so he could pay the rent for until the year 2000. That's what Grandpa Booker said. But
Mm-hmm.
he went back because he genuinely like, I want to go save Alice. I want to go free those kids that are in the basement. They don't need to be there anymore.
Yeah.
And he had to overcome his fear, because I feel like he was afraid. But when I think Roach died, that set off something in him like, I'm going to fuck them up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know this guy, but he put his life on the line for me. And
Yeah.
that's deep.
Revenge is a powerful motivator.
It really is. And that's what he wanted. Because as soon as Roach died, you see the look in his eyes like he was pissed off. He was like, Roach, went up the vent. And then when he punches man, one of the greatest scenes ever. And then busting the lamp over his head, like he became that
Yeah.
resourceful kid. And they
Mm-hmm.
don't make them like, I think the 80s and 90s kid characters like that were a lot different. Nowadays, there's a few, but they don't really give those type of performances anymore, when it's like you're just like, oh yeah, get him. They don't really do that anymore, and it sucks.
Yeah, I feel like, this is one of those instances where the youth and fighting against the powers that be is framed as a good thing. And we will see kids and the youth framed as something evil and scary, but they're not. We need to give more roles of power to the youth, because they're the ones that are going to shape the next generation. Always up to the youth. Always.
Agreed.
So we've got the climax, power. The narrative arc ultimately resolves around resistance, like I said. Full fights to expose their crimes, free the captives, and redistribute the wealth. So whenever he does that bomb, it's so great.
Such a great scene.
Like, you're right, he didn't want to just take the wealth for himself. That's not why he came, but he did want to redistribute the wealth. And you see the money at the end is just flying everywhere. And the people from the community are coming and grabbing and, taking what they can. And that was the point of him going back, is to free people and to redistribute this wealth they had been hoarding.
It's a beautiful scene, because it's like, I love the scene where Ruby, full sister, is at the door talking to mommy, and mommy's obviously going to say something super racist, and then the whole community just shows up standing behind her. And I was like, that's pretty awesome. And that just shows, like, just because we may live in this area that you think is so bad, does that mean we're bad? We're here, we want to get out, we have to fight a periodic way out, but at the same time, we'll stand by the people that we consider, friends, family, or whatnot. And I think that's what that scene symbolized. Just like you said, when the money explodes and everybody's like collecting the money, it's like, the weight lifted off those people's chests. Like, oh, I can pay my rent now. Oh, I can pay these bills now. I can go get food now. I can take you to the
Yeah.
doctor now. It was a sign of, okay, there's a change coming. That symbolized that change. And again, that was full making decision. That bomb could have killed him, but
It could
he did
have.
it in a way that
I was
he
so
did it in a way
scared
that
for
didn't kill him.
him, but he
Right?
was
When you go like
smart.
that,
He went behind the brick wall.
he got banged up, like full went through the ringer in this movie. Like we all know he did.
Yeah.
And but like he says to Alice, like, "Are you okay?" He says, "Now I feel like $1 million." That scene right there just shows like the growth of his, like just his little smile to Alice, and then all the people in the stairs get out.
Mm-hmm.
Not to go eat people, but just to go like, this is what fresh air smells like. I forgot what this was like, and I could talk about this movie for hours. Like you haven't I'm probably gonna watch this movie after we get off this.
Yeah, they're reclaiming their humanity. Like one thing I love about justice is not reform in this moment, but it's redistribution.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we need to think about taking care of others like in the immediate instead of just like, let's pass this bill, let's do this, like these actions need to be more immediate. And the final meaning, and this is all a social allegory. Craven uses the structure of a horror film to gradually peel back layers. And so the way I broke it down is poverty, then exploitation, control, abuse, and we've got resistance and liberation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from beginning to end, that is what is happening for us to reclaim. No.
You know what? That is beautifully said, and that is literally what he is doing in the movie and what the movie is portraying to the audience. I know some people that just, oh, it's just a little silly horror movie. I love it. I was like, did you watch it or did you watch it? Because people like me and you, we watch it, and to really take in what they're trying to say. I believe this is one of Craven's best reviewed movies too. Like he had a lot, but I think this was one of his like best reviewed movies because of the social commentary. He said that he wanted to do something that was real, something that was really looking at society and saying, here, this is what's going on. This is what I want you to see. Yeah. Same with, a lot of people don't realize this too. Like John Carpenter did the same thing. You know what I mean? He did the same thing. Like They Live was, and They Live pissed off a lot of people when that movie came out because of what Carpenter was saying. Mm-hmm. And when you can tell a story like that, regardless of what it is, and can hide it in a movie that makes people think, then you have something that will be timeless, I feel like, because it will always have something new that you will see when you watch it. Like when I watch People Under the Stairs, literally you telling me everything that you were saying about it, it's like, okay, I'm going to go rewatch it now. They Live, and I watch it, oh, this is about like how we're obsessed with like buying everything, consumerism and all that. And then even like movies like, have you seen Nope?
Yeah, I have. It's so good.
Nope,
I love it.
It's about spectacle, us chasing spectacle. Mm-hmm. And Jordan Peele spoke about that. The people that died in that movie were chasing spectacle. The people that lived, they realized that that's not what they should be doing. I feel like every movie like this should have some type of underlying, like, what did you take from this movie when it's done? Not just slash and kill them, but sometimes you got to be deeper than that. You know what I mean?
Wes Craven said, so in 2015 on the Blu-ray commentary, Wes Craven said that the characters who were in and out and a few cases around the house represented the entirety of the United States.
I can see that. I can definitely see that because of the haves and the have-nots. And then you have people that are fighting to just stay afloat. And what do you do when you have the opportunity to take back what's so deserved to you? You're going to fight. Pretty much full story, Mm-hmm. And, the man and woman, society thinks is where you should be, man and woman in society today. And I'm sorry, that's not true. That's not the case. You know what I mean? We as a people, we got to stop. We got to be better because leaving shit for our kids that I don't know if they're going to be able to clean up.
Yeah. And we have kids. I have a daughter. You have kids. Like, I don't know how old your kids are, but I want my daughter to be able to live in a world where she can afford a house one day, where she can
Exactly.
afford, like right now, things are so fucked for them. And it's really like, I have to argue with grandparents. Like, I've gotten into arguments about what this generation is having to deal with. And like, people are selfish. That is, at the end of the day,
Exactly.
People are selfish assholes, and they piss me off because they're all just so selfish. And that's what it boils down to. It's people not having empathy.
Some people are just so content with just being where they are. And, it is what it is. I was like, no.
Mm-mm.
I say it is what it is. If my kids like want to do something, I tell them no. And they say, why? Because I said so. It is what it is. That's when I use that word. When they want to say it is what it is with what's going on in society, you're the fucking problem.
Yes. 100%. Yes. Exactly.
It's sad. All I can say is we have to just be the examples our kids need, because I want to leave something for my kids.
Well, I think we're about done. I didn't actually prepare the game, which is okay because we already went on for a very long time. But thank you so much for being on. I hope that you had fun.
I had fun. You're a good conversationalist, good to speak to. And like I said, this is the first podcast I've ever been on that anything like this. So for this to be my first one, I'm glad this was my first one.
Good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Weekly horror update. Primate is in theaters. This killer monkey creature feature follows a family whose adopted chimpanzee contracts rabies during a tropical vacation. We also have Sleepwalker, which is in theaters. Hayden Panettiere returns to horror in this psychological thriller about a grieving mother haunted by visions of her abusive husband. Next week, you're going to be able to see Tony Todd's final performance on VOD with The Raven. The film is a gothic horror thriller adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's narrative poems. The Raven and the Annabelle Lee is set in a dark and shadowy 1940s-inspired world, following a grieving man's descent into darkness mere hours after burying his loved Annabelle Lee. I am doing 2 episodes a month that are on my theme of the month, and then 2 episodes a month that are indie horror highlights. So if you have an indie horror movie that you would like to talk to me about, I watch the movie, I do research into what you're doing, I pick at the themes, and I come up with questions for you. I'm told that I'm a pretty hard interviewer. So if that's something that interests you, you can email me at screamqueenpodcaster@gmail.com. This is a weekly podcast with episodes out every Friday. All the research, writing, and audio is done by yours truly. This is a one-woman show, and I am doing my very best. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. It really means a lot. You can find me on Instagram at Scream Queen Podcaster, Blue Sky at Scream Queen Podcast, TikTok at Scream Queen Podcast, and there's a link tree that will take you to my YouTube and Facebook page as well. And remember, there are no good billionaires. Goodbye.